loans have been made directly by the federal government and are being repaid through one of the 4 income-driven payment plans. The plan is capping monthly payments at a given percentage of earnings and with the promise that the balance will be forgiven after 25 years of payments. But a 2022 Government Accountability Office found that the Education Department did not accurately track the payments until a decade after the first income-driven plan was actually implemented. This is the Institute, and they say that $39 billion in debt cancellation is only a fraction of the true cost of a buy and post plan, assuming the per borrower cost of cancellation remains the same. Now, for $39 billion in debt cancellation, it's only a fraction of the true cost of buy and post plan. Assuming the per borrower cost of cancellation remains unchanged, the groups estimate that the adjustment program could cost $175 billion in foregone payments and interest. We have some major news. There are upcoming changes to Social Security, and it may take effect sooner than we expected. As Social Security is adjusted on an annual basis, lawmakers are working together to improve the program. On one hand, bigger monthly payouts may arrive for many beneficiaries, but a certain group of people could see their tax liability increase. For over 49 million retired workers who depend on Social Security benefits, the program is a vital financial lifeline that helps cover their monthly expenses. This retirement program has a significant impact, lifting more than 20 million people out of poverty. It includes 15 million individuals aged 65 and above. But Social Security is not a static system. It continuously adapts to changes in the U.S. inflation rate, life expectancy, and other relevant factors. Although specific changes won't be announced by the SSA until October, there are several changes that will take effect in 2024. The most anticipated change is the cost of living adjustment, which is an annual increase intended to keep the pace with the rising cost of living. Due to high inflation, though, people are having questions about it. In 2023, beneficiaries reached the highest COLA in 41 years, but the COLA for 2024 is expected to be more modest. The nonpartisan senior advocacy group, the Senior Citizens League, estimated that the COLA for 2024 will be 3%. For the average retired worker, though, receiving $1,900 would mean an additional $55 per month next year. Unfortunately, though, the purchasing power of Social Security benefits have been declining regularly since the start of the century, and any increase actually won't even adequately address the estimated loss in purchasing power that is experienced by seniors since 2000. Another change for the upcoming year involves high-earning workers who will see an increase in payroll taxes due to a rise in the maximum taxable earnings cap. The payroll tax contributes about 90% of the program's revenue, and only about 6% of workers reach the maximum taxable earnings cap a year. Additionally, high earners collect Social Security benefits. They may experience a large monthly payout, as the maximum monthly benefit amount at a full retirement age is expected to rise in 2024. To qualify for the maximum Social Security benefit, you must meet 3 criteria. You must be the retirement age of full, work at least 35 years, pass the bill to take back Biden's debt relief that the president ultimately vetoed. So while Biden has announced a new plan to get borrowers relief during a different law, it's called the Higher Education Act, many Republican lawmakers don't even want to actually be carried on this. Biden acknowledged that delivering relief through the Higher Education Act will take some time because it requires the policy to go through a negotiated rulemaking process, which includes hearings and public commitment. Still, payments are scheduled to resume in October, but still, with interest accruing again in September, and while the Education Department announced a 12-month ramp on payments after the repayment starts, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is worried. Folks, more and more checks are expected to arrive for the Americans throughout the summer and fall. Lawmakers are agreeing to provide the low income with extra financial relief, and relief may either be in the form of a one-time check or direct deposit. But now, 2 rebate checks are going to be for tax policies. These checks are typically sent out after individuals file their annual tax returns and determined to be eligible for a refund or credit. The specific eligibility criteria for tax rebates is depending on tax lawmakers and regulations in the country. A large number of states have announced they will be mailing and depositing relief checks for many residents. During the recently wrapped legislative sessions, the lawmakers agreed to send tax rebates to people in Minnesota, and now the rebates are $260 for individuals with AGIs very high, but $520 for couples who file jointly. People within those limits will get an additional $260 per dependent for up to 3 people they can claim. Rebates are expected to go out via direct deposit, and checks starting this fall too. It's important to note that the lawmakers and taxpayers who have to apply for these payments are going to get good money. Georgia has a very large budget surplus, and the latest report was more than $6 billion. As I was saying, the to receive the funds, filers must have paid and filed taxes for the past 2 years, and according to a spokesperson, Georgia's Department of Revenue has already processed over 1.1 million total refunds. It totals about $257 million. If you haven't received your money yet, don't even worry. The Department of Revenue says the funds will go out over the next 8 weeks for those who filed by April 18th. Those who filed after the tax deadline will of course wait a little bit longer, as refunds will not be issued until one's tax returns have been processed. A Wall Street Journal analysis of Federal Reserve data reveals a concerning financial situation for people ages 30 to 39. The demographic accumulated nearly $4 trillion in debt during the fourth quarter of 2022. It reflects a substantial $140 billion rise from preceding the quarter. Now, according to Yahoo News, the mounting debt is indicative of broader economic challenges faced by the generations. The New York's Fed data reveals that millennials in their 30s are accumulating debt at a very high pace, which is starting to be alarming. New data have shown that 72% of U.S. millennials are actually in deep trouble, living paycheck to paycheck. More than 1/3 of Americans say there's still loans that prevent them from buying a home, because we all know that this is not the right thing to do. I also want to make another point on this important stimulus information, that a significant portion of the 22 to 37-year-olds surveyed revealed a concerning trend of retirement savings. According to the survey, a considerable number of respondents said that their monthly contributions to retirement savings were lower than the previous year.
Or debt on their credit cards, and there has been a huge jump in the number of people reporting they have signed up for SNAP food stamps or visited a food pantry in the past.
Now, Senator Bernie Sanders is now ready to negotiate on the $3.5 trillion budget resolution price tag for the new spending bill. Folks, progressive lawmakers are offering to cut spending short to save President Biden's plan. We have a ton of news to go over in today's fourth stimulus check update, so you guys want to be sure to stay until the end of this very video.
A failure to raise the debt limit will call into question Congress's willingness to meet our obligations that we've already incurred. Not new ones, we've already incurred. This is going to undermine the safety of U.S. Treasury securities, and it will threaten the reserve status of the dollar as the world's currency that the world relies on. American credit rating will be downgraded. Interest rates will rise for mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, borrowing. Folks, watching at home, you should know this is the Republican position. Here's what it is. They won't vote to raise the debt limit to cover their own spending. Democrats voted with them to cover that spending the previous 4 years. They say Democrats should do it alone. But then they're threatening to use a procedural power called the filibuster, meaning that we'd have to get 60 votes, not 50 votes, to increase the debt limit. This would block the Democrats from meeting our obligations and responsibilities to prevent Congress from raising the debt limit. So let's be clear. Not only are Republicans refusing to do their job, they're threatening to use their power, to prevent us from doing our job.